are in Mumbai behind the scenes at Film City, and this is where Bollywood comes to life.
Sneha, this shooting happened just a few hours ago. What do we know so far about the victims and the shooters?
Well, as you mentioned, Jocelyn, one person is dead and two others are recovering in hospital at this hour. Now, I just spoke with police minutes ago and they confirmed this is a gang-related shooting. About 10 minutes until the third ballot vote begins, and this is the final time when candidates can make their moves. We do know Kennedy and Souza dropped their names off the ballot, so it is only Wynn and Pupatello left in this race. Now I'm standing on an Akita rig here in Stampede Park. It's just one of the pieces of equipment on display here at the show. After all, this is all about the latest, greatest, and newest technology for the oil and gas sector. And the defense theory here is essentially that McClintock was the calculated murderer, and Michael Rafferty was more or less a dupe, a man who was sucked into a murderous scheme without knowing it. And that seems to be the theory that his mother sides with. As I mentioned, he spoke to the media publicly for the first time in 3 years and had this to say about the horrific allegations against her son. The new Ryerson DMZ, launched here at the Mumbai Stock Exchange, is playing a very important role in bridging the Canada-India divide. Not only will it help accelerate Indian startups, but also help budding Canadian entrepreneurs gain a foothold in the lucrative Indian market. We begin with news of two high-profile federal resignations. The Conservative Senate leader, Marjorie Le Breton, is stepping down. We're also learning another Alberta MP is leaving politics. Turning to international news now, a large explosion has rocked a Hezbollah stronghold in Beirut. Lebanese officials say at least 15 people have been wounded. Right now, I want to take you back to Cairo's Tahrir Square. You're looking at a live shot of the area. And this is really Alberta's final send-off for the torch. Tomorrow we'll be entering BC, which is, of course, the home province of the 2010 Games.
It's a nice camera.
For Pat Collins, this old speed graphic camera is like a window back in time. She was among the first female photographers in the Royal Canadian Air Force.
One of the most fortuitous things I think I ever did.
Her family was evacuated from London to Canada in the 1940s. Pat was a teenager and she wanted to meet men, so she lied about her age to enlist in the Canadian Forces.
And one day we were walking past the recruiting office, and none of us had ever met any soldiers, and we said, let's go in.
Collins first became a clerk, but a decision to volunteer for an Army photography course propelled her into an unforgettable career. She was first stationed in Defoe, Saskatchewan, but was later offered a posting in England.
One of the main jobs was darkroom work. You'll see tons and tons and tons of photographs of these men who were on a bomb, and they take pictures of all the bombs. One thing that I did was weddings, funerals, and investitures.
And she did them well. After the war, she was hired as a press photographer for the Reuters news agency. Pat was ahead of her time, and her job even made the news.
Time's precious. Pat's got a deadline to make. In her job, she has to think fast and move fast.
This is Pat in 1947. She was featured in a British news film called Women Going Places. By this point, she had gone from photographing war to shooting the rich and famous, even the Queen's wedding. From Shirley Temple to Cary Grant, even Eisenhower, Patricia Collins has met them all, and she has the photographs to prove it.
Eisenhower said, I don't remember being photographed by a woman before. I said, I'd like to say hello to her. It was the most exciting day of my life.
Collins eventually returned to Canada. She married and settled down with 5 children.
I love that picture, though. It's got so much joy in it.
Now 86, she's a resident in Sunnybrook's Veteran Care Center, which she just happened to photograph when it opened over 60 years ago. And while she no longer snaps pictures, the memories of her storied life are still vivid, not just in her mind, but all around her. Sneha Kulkarni, Sun News Network. Kelly Dunlop's first appointment with Dr. Lawrence Demko was also her last. An hour after the visit, she filed a police complaint.
His pelvic exam was unlike any other I'd had before, and I left feeling violated and humiliated.
Dunlop says the gynecologist used excessive force and was unprofessional. She also complained to the Alberta College of Physicians and Surgeons along with a number of other patients. And last month, the college forced Dr. Demko to close his practice due to improper care. But Dunlop still couldn't get any answers from police about the complaint she had filed nearly 2 years ago.
I called the police and they could not find my file anywhere. They had it wasn't on file anywhere. Even when I gave them the number, my case file number, they still couldn't find it.
That's because police never even investigated the complaint. CTV News has learned that the officers who took Dunlop's complaint decided an official police report wasn't warranted.
It's completely unacceptable that the report wasn't done. They gave advice at the time. The officers, in their opinion, thought it was appropriate for it to move over to the College of Physicians and Surgeons for an investigation.
The police service is apologizing, and the officers involved are now under investigation.
I'll be asking for an internal review as to what happened. We'll be looking at our processes, we'll be looking at the officers' actions, and out of that review, discipline could occur.
Police say every complaint is taken seriously and admit Dunlop's case was handled improperly.
The service let this lady down. 100% we did. I recognize that. The service recognizes that. What's important now is to give her great customer service, to give her a professional investigation.
For Dunlop, though, she still wonders if the actions and apologies are too late.
I suppose that if they had handled it correctly, there is a possibility that that he may have been stopped sooner.
Sneha Kulkarni is working on this story. She joins us now live. So, Sneha, what happens now with Dunlop's complaint?
Well, Jocelyn, police tell me that they have now properly entered her complaint into the system, and the sex crimes unit is now handling the investigation. We've also learned that the Alberta College of Physicians and Surgeons has adopted new guidelines that require that any criminal allegations against a doctor be automatically forwarded to Alberta Justice. Now, these guidelines just came into effect in January, and previously the college would simply recommend that complainants contact police. Also, Dr. Demko's investigation by the college was conducted last year, so none of those complaints were actually passed on to the police. This is Dharavi, the largest slum in Asia. More than 1 million people living in just over 1 square mile. But a look inside these cramped, squalid shacks reveals a network of budding enterprise.
10,000 different industries are here in Dharavi, and annual production is around $665 million US.
Micro businesses here are thriving, from cloth printing and dyeing to a full-scale plastics recycling operation.
We collect this scrap plastic from places like hospital, residential area. After collecting, those are brought here and they got sorted out according to the color and quality. Once they sort out, then the sorted plastic, they crushed out in pieces like this. Just your cameras, cell phones, keyboards, monitors are made from this. So only recycle a hard plastic.
Safety is minimal and wages are as low as $4 a day. But residents from poor rural parts of India view Mumbai's slums as a hive of opportunity.
They come from different states of India, from poor state. So Mumbai is a city where people know like you can achieve your dream here.
India's slums are a stark example of the country's paradoxes, a country where wealth and poverty stand side by side. Breaking the cycle of poverty takes more than just funds. For many girls living here in the slums of Delhi, the idea of going to school is a far-off dream. They're expected to get married, and for poorer families, education is seen as an unnecessary investment for girls. But Canadian-assisted programs like the Asha Foundation are now helping to break that cycle of poverty.
Basically, the main thing is marriage, and the second thing is the atmosphere, which people doesn't feel that, yeah, the atmosphere is good for the girls to get out.
19-year-old Bharti is defying the odds.
I'm the first one who's going to the university.
First of her family to attend university, she's studying political sciences thanks to mentorship and loan programs through Asha community centers.
They provide books to the student and even the time to study. Means like we have small houses, so where we can't study that much.
Fundraising by Canadians helps Asha provide space for students to study and access books and computers. Asha's founder, Dr. Kiran Martin, also works with communities to change the perception around education for girls.
I was thinking of to do a job, But then Dr. Kiran said that, yeah, you need to go to study because after 3 years you must be getting a nice job. The most important thing is degree. Without degree you can't get a nice job.
They're small steps with a big impact. For girls like Bharti, breaking down barriers to education will be the difference between life in poverty and a chance at success. I'm Sneha Kulkarni, and this has been a Sun News Special Report.